Good morning, everybody. My name is Shira Rubinoff. It's a pleasure for me to chair the digital transformation track. So as we all know, smart cities operate on a foundation of technology. All sorts of connected devices coat the urban landscape, which obviously produce a tremendous amount of data, which is at risk to be hacked and pose a risk to safety and security of the citizens it is designed to help. Great efforts are being made in the pursuit of security excellence, and obviously there's still a great amount for us to do. We will be answering the question on how cities can promote cyber-resilient systems and at the same time help their citizens deal with cybersecurity. We will hear two keynotes. The first is entitled Creating Cities with Digital DNA, as well as How Will Saltillo Improve Security Through Citizens' Participation. We will also have a panel entitled Cyberthreat-ready Cities, Ensuring Privacy and Security. Please stick around because we'll have time for some Q&A after each of the keynotes, as well as after the panel, and our panelists and our keynotes will remain here for questions as well. Thank you. I would like to call upon our first keynote, Diana Fernandez. Diana Fernandez is Oracle's EMEA Systems and Cloud Systems Business Development Senior Director of Dusseldorf, Spain. Diana's main responsibilities are the definition and the prioritization of key sales initiatives, supporting Oracle's GTM strategy, acting as a regional evangelist to drive faster and successful system and cloud system adoption with our customers. Diana leads a team of more than 25 senior architect and senior business development directors. Diana, please join us on stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As a born and raised person from Barcelona that has lived in 5 different countries in several regions, I'm extremely pleased to be back in my city and be part of this fantastic event. So thank you again for attending. One of the very relevant aspects that we see through humanity, and what actually during the last 200 years humanity has been looking for, is how technology is improving our quality of life. We do know that in the past, with technology, we've been trying to be healthier, wealthier, and having that progress in our life that we're looking for. And technology has been doing that job for us, right? Technology has been helping us to accomplish those dreams that we were looking for. Now, one of the very important aspects when we're talking about technology and the evolution of humanity is actually being very aware of what are those areas that are going to help us, what are those tools that are available right now for us to take and implement those dreams. In the past, when you think about technology, you always try to implement technology to overcome our lack of strength. We wanted to dig deeper to get minerals in the ground, right? We wanted to farm bigger expansions of land to get vegetables for our population. We wanted to actually improve our lack of precision when we were operating on an eye, or when we were trying to kind of work on very small, tiny pieces that need to be implemented, right? But the dilemma today is completely different. We are looking at technology because we need a better brain. We need more intelligence. We need better decision-making. And that's what we actually are looking for, right? We are creating a world where the digital and the technology is going to help us to really accomplish that. And that is large changes and very important changes on the way we live, thanks to connectivity. When you think about how this has evolved, and there is this parameter around the 50 million users, it took us 75 years for humanity to get to 50 million users of a telephone. It took us 4 years for Facebook to get to 50 million. It took us 10 months for YouTube to get to 50 million. And it took us 19 days for the Pokemon users to reach that number. think about the fast of the innovation and how actually that has happened, right? During the time of this presentation, you will see, or we will experience, that 100 devices will be connected to the internet for the very first time during the 20 minutes I'm going to be here on the stage with you. An average of 127 devices are connected every second, okay? We have heard about the 5G and how actually, we are going to be able to download movies in 10 seconds. That's not the important thing. I don't know, maybe for some of the very heavy Netflix users, but the reality is that what 5G is going to give us is going to actually give us the possibility to literally live in real time, to really make those decisions, because with the amount of data that we are having, that we need to make in real time. In addition, we are going to have all this, I call it tsunami of data. Unbelievable amount of data that is being provided because of the patterns of the way we behave. And that data needs to be managed. And that data needs to be understood, and you need to get the proper insight of that. Now, this is how we, as humans, are evolving, right? But let's think about how populations and how the trends are happening around the world. We do know that around 2050, we will have around 68% of the population living in big cities. And that is going to represent an extremely big challenge for the citizens and for the cities, right? That's part of the reason why we are all here today. But what that means as well is that the cities are going to have to play a much smarter role. They're going to have to find new ways to generate revenue. And extremely important, they're going to have to meet the expectations of the citizens. Think about it. I just was telling you how everybody's got a device and we are enjoying, or we will be enjoying 5G. The way we're interacting as humans is different the way we interact with our governments, our cities. We need to govern that gap. And that's what the smart cities is all about. It's about generating these new revenue streams while meeting the expectations of this new generation of humans that are interconnected and very techie savvy, right? To be able to do that, we work with ESI on a research that was already published several months ago on what it takes. If I want to build a smart city, what is going to take? What are those foundations that we need to look for? And you can read through here in the screen. There are 10 main pillars that will define a smart city and that will help to build that foundation that we are looking for, right? And you can work from the transportation, the way we transact between businesses and customers and government. We can work through, how do we take care of our own health, prevent crime, drive economic efficiencies, reduce cost. You get the whole umbrella, and everything is done through the use of data and technology. Now, when I go one step further, all these different foundations and different pillars have, I will call it almost like a common denominator, a common aspect that is going to define the way we kind of approach this transformation. And this is what we are calling the DNA of the smart cities, right? We do know that data is going to be in the center. As Oracle, and as an expert on technology around data management, we take this extremely serious, because out of that data is where we are going to get a lot of the answers we are looking for to get those efficiencies and that improvement, right? But it's not only data. It's as well how we are actually adopting the rest of the technology, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence, the IoTs. It's about security. How relevant is security these days, right? Security for the citizens, but as well security of what they represent, the data that we have on those citizens. It's about the experience that the citizens are going to have between themselves and with the city. It's about the financial planning. How actually we're going to drive a better economy? Are we going to generate more revenue if we don't have the most efficient financial equation? It's about the workforce, how we identify talent, How do we actually develop that talent, develop those skills that we are looking for, right? Using, again, all this different granularity, right? If you are able to identify the talent through the help of machine learning, with the data that we have, with the tools that we have, in a secure way, without crossing the borders of what is not right, then is where we are evolving on the right direction. Let me go into 3 of these kind of components. I'm going to talk about data, and this is important for several reasons. We are all aware about the tsunami of data, the huge volume of data that we are generating, right? It's expected that in around 2 years' time, every single person will generate 1.7 megabytes per second. If you make the calculations, this is not about the question of how am I going to store all that data. It's the question about what that data means for us. How much of that data is noise that is not relevant for us, but how much of that data is expected to kind of anticipate the needs of the individuals, and is expected as well to develop new ways of working and operating, right? Having a unified strategy on the way we manage the data, having a unified data platform that is going to help you to get that insight is going to be the difference. We need to be able to actually identify which data is going to be relevant for what, but with a holistic view. And that may seem like a no-brainer is one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing in today's society, from an enterprise perspective and as well from a citizen perspective, as well as a city perspective, okay? So that's the point number 1. Security. I was mentioning how relevant security is, and it probably is one of the biggest things when I talk to some of my colleagues and friends that maybe are not on the IT world, they tend to be a bit, how to call it, a bit scared or agnostic about, well, hold on a moment, how much of this big brother do I want to have, right? How can I guarantee that all my data, everything that defines me, is protected enough? Because let's be honest, innovation is defined for the good, but there's as well some threats, right? And that's why as well it's extremely important that in this strategy, when you are technology and the way it's actually being built, we need to look at how actually are we protecting our infrastructure. We do know that many of the breaches that we see, and you will have heard the breaches around British Airways or Marriott's and the fines that we get on the Googles and the Facebooks, and those ones are happening. What we need to protect is the identity of our citizens and the identity of our individuals, right? And our employees. Having an infrastructure that's actually able to provide the technology behind to prevent that is extremely important. The same thing as anticipating what is that talent that we are going to need. We do know cybersecurity jobs are going to be the hottest spot. They're going to have the pressure, but at the same time, they're going to have a very, very important role on the way we implement. And here is where, if there is one message that I want you to be aware of, we need those security experts, those cybersecurity experts, that is going to help us on the adoption. We will get more comfortable, and we will be able to accelerate that innovation. And the third part regarding to security is about the compromises that we have with data. Today, in 2019, there is no reason why data should not be encrypted. We have the technology, we have the infrastructure, we have the knowledge. There is no way we could justify or we could accept that data not being encrypted. Building an information fortress around data is extremely important to guarantee the adoption of technology and to drive that innovation. The third aspect I wanted to actually discuss with you is the citizen experience as part of the citizen services, right? If you remember when I started talking about how humans are actually changing and we are adopting, we are becoming more techie savvy, we're expecting that from our interactions with friends, with colleagues, with family, and as well with the entities that we need to interact. It makes no sense that I'm totally digitalized in my private life, but I'm not digitalized when I when it comes to interaction with the city. And that's what we're aiming for, right? The city should understand and to have the intelligence of who I am, should be able to give me those channels of communications the same way as I live in my normal life. And then we can really empower the individuals to be a much more active contributor. We are seeing the trends in the world where the individuals, the citizens, want to have a stronger voice. What is better, stronger voice? To empower them through technology. And do that in a very simplified and personalized way. Because there is one thing that is very clear. If it's too complex, it's not going to happen. So we need to guarantee that interaction with our citizens is actually easy, simple, and personalized, and understands the way the individual works and understands the way they need to interact. So these are three of the examples of those DNA factors that we call in, right? Now, we have plenty of stories. I could spend, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours talking about the many cities that are actually working with Oracle on this journey. We see it as a journey, as a vision, right? We've been working with the city of San Jose, for instance, to improve the services to the citizens. We've been working with Marseille to improve the prevention of crime through big data analysis on the social media activity that potential individuals have. We saw earlier on Singapore City. Singapore has a fantastic implementation around the way they manage the data. We see the city of Detroit actually saving $1 million on the way they were treating the water, money that is actually able to be redeployed somewhere else with the benefit of the citizens, right? So there are plenty of stories. It's just for us to get inspired and to get that vision to really keep implementing. I have explained a little bit of the behavior of the individuals, the technologies out there, but there is one important aspect that we, as individuals, as an organizations, we need to be very aware. This is not a problem about technology. I mean, I work for Oracle, and I'm pretty confident that we have the focus to really drive the technology that is needed to actually implement that vision that we may have in mind, right? But the biggest challenge that we have today is actually the belief on that vision and the implementation, the collaboration, the joint journey. If we got the technology and we got the desire, that dream can become a reality. We will overcome the obstacles, but we need to make it happen. That's why I chose this quote from Pascal Veronese, one of the very brilliant teachers in ESE, because I think it's a combination. Any type of innovation requires the technology, but it requires as well our own mindset to really drive that. And to help you to go through that journey, what I wanted to mention is a brand new, it's actually going to be released tomorrow, a brand new report coming from us in collaboration with Oracle and many others on what actually has been the experience, what has been that experience related to the transition, the digital transformation that over 100 cities have. What can we actually learn from them? What are those priorities that they wanted to implement and they learned through that experience? What are the things that they shouldn't be going for and the things that we should be going for, right? What has been the feedback from the experience on the citizens? Because remember, at the end of the day, the cities are working for the citizens, so we need to kind of meet those expectations. And just to wrap up, I wanted to invite you to the Oracle stand. I'm a personal favorite of this Lego Smart City. You couldn't believe how many people is actually playing with the Lego at an age older than 10, right? But the reality is it's a very revealing and inspiring exercise on how will be that city of the future, right? How actually are we interacting with citizens? How are we moving with our transportation? How we are actually reducing the pollution with a heavy sustainable pitch around how we actually need to take care of our planet while actually onboarding this new growing population. And there is as well an aspect in the book that talks about data management and how can we manage data in the most efficient, secure, and high-performance way to really get what you are looking for when it comes into the business insights that you need. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your attention, and I'm open to questions. So,
thank you, Diana, for your wonderful presentation. I'd like to open it up for questions from the audience. There's a microphone there in the aisle. So if you have any questions, if you could please line up behind the microphone and pose your questions to Diana.
Do we have a quiet audience today? Any question? Yeah, there's a question
please
there.
Come up to the microphone. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the good speech. My name is Sami from Saudi Arabia. Yeah, a question maybe it's related to a challenge that we face when we do smart cities and intelligent cities is to measure the return on investment. So to convince maybe the taxpayers and the decision makers to pump money in those projects. Sometimes the return takes time. So did you face that problem, you know, in a way to put some KPIs or measures to measure the return on those projects? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, obviously it's always a challenge because I think when you are driving that innovation implies investment, right? And that's kind of the difference, right? I mean, we are right now investing on the city of the future, right? I think part of the KPIs is looking at what we aim for, what is going to happen. Maybe today is not that relevant because of the amount of population, because of the amount of interaction, but the reality is that when you talk about the population that will live in the cities 10 years from now, 15 years from now, those are the millennials, those are the kids that have been growing up with an iPad on their hands, right? Those are the guys and the girls that are going to be expecting totally something completely different of what we're expecting today. We see it, I think, today on the different age of the population. You know, as a born and raised in Barcelona, my mom still lives here. What she's expecting from the city is completely different of what I'm expecting from the city, right? So I think part of this adoption is convincing that we are not trying to fix an issue that is a hot, really hot topic today. It's going to be a hot topic in the future, and we're anticipating that.
Thank you very much, Diana. I'm sorry we're out of time now, and she will be around during our break. You please find her if you have any more questions. Very knowledgeable woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next keynote is Manolo Jiménez Salinas. He is the mayor of Saltillo, Mexico. The first mayor to ever be re-elected, currently serving the 2019-2021 term. During his administration, Saltillo has achieved remarkable levels in quality of life, economic development, and public safety. He is focused on making Saltillo a sustainable, smart city with environmental protection strategy execution. Manolo is considered the mayor with the best performance in northern Mexico. I welcome you to the stage.
Gracias. Gracias. Gracias, Diana. Muy buenos días. Tengan todas y todos ustedes. Es un honor para mí estar aquí en este gran foro internacional de ciudades inteligentes. Agradezco a los organizadores, agradezco a Suez. Y bueno, para ponerlos un poco en contexto, les quiero platicar primero dónde está Saltillo, Coahuila. Saltillo, Coahuila es una ciudad al norte de México, es la capital de uno de los estados de nuestro país, es una ciudad de 1 millón de habitantes, estamos muy cerca de la frontera y bueno, somos conocidos como la capital automotriz de México. En Saltillo se producen 500,000 de automóviles al año. Les doy un ejemplo. La pick-up más premiada del mundo, que es la Ram 1500, es hecha en Saltillo. los tractocamiones de la empresa Daimler con mayor calidad son los de Saltillo. Y ahí también fabricamos el vidrio del Tesla. En nuestra ciudad tenemos el Museo de Historia Natural más importante de Latinoamérica y estamos situados en la segunda región vitivinícola del país. Eso es Saltillo y nos da mucho gusto estar el día de hoy con todas y todos ustedes. Cuando uno es alcalde en México, además de atender los temas de recolección de basura, de servicio de agua y los temas de alumbrado público, tenemos que pensar en el tema prioritario para los ciudadanos, que es la seguridad pública. Ese es un tema que desde un inicio nos puso a pensar qué teníamos que hacer para mejorar la seguridad de Saltillo. Y lo que voy a platicar a continuación tiene que ver algo que dijo nuestra amiga Diana, porque es llevar a la práctica ya una buena política pública que ha sido implementada. Pensamos, por supuesto, en más policías y lo hicimos. En un grupo de reacción contra el crimen y lo hicimos. En tener cámaras de seguridad y lo hicimos. El tener casetas de vigilancia en las colonias, en los barrios y lo hicimos. En tener inteligencia y lo hicimos también. Pero faltaba dar un valor agregado. Y ese valor agregado nosotros lo llamamos ciudadanizar la seguridad. ¿Por qué? Porque nuestra política desde un inicio fue hacer un gobierno ciudadano en todos sus sectores y también teníamos que incluir el sector de la seguridad. ¿Qué fue lo que hicimos? Invertimos la fórmula que marca el Secretariado de Seguridad Nacional, que nos marca que debe de haber 1.3 policías por cada 1000 habitantes. Entonces, es difícil que 1.3 policías cuide o vigile permanentemente a los 1000 habitantes. ¿Qué fue lo que hicimos? Lo que hicimos fue invertir la fórmula. ¿Qué pasaba si esos 1000 habitantes cuidaban o apoyaban a cuidar a ese 1.3 policías? Y por eso conformamos lo que son los comités ciudadanos de seguridad, donde hoy en día 30,000 saltillenses nos apoyan como vigilantes de la seguridad. Y lo hacemos a través de una aplicación que se llama Saltillo Seguro y a través de grupos de WhatsApp. Entonces imagínense, cualquiera que quiera delinquir en nuestra ciudad, además de enfrentarse a los más de 1000 policías, además de enfrentarse al ejército, a las fuerzas del Estado, a la Guardia Nacional, tiene de manera silenciosa 30,000 ciudadanos que nos ayudan a informarnos. 30,000 ciudadanos que nos ayudan a nuestro gobierno a cuidar a nuestras familias, porque al final del día todas las familias de los saltillenses vivimos en la misma ciudad. Y los mejores proyectos y los mejores programas que hemos desarrollado en este gobierno han sido gracias a un trabajo en equipo entre la sociedad y el gobierno. Por supuesto, apoyado por la tecnología, que es la que nos permite conectarnos a todos en tiempo y forma. A estos grupos no puede entrar cualquiera. Estos grupos son grupos en los que los mismos ciudadanos nos llaman a su colonia, a su barrio, los organizamos, los capacitamos y los registramos. Eso quiere decir que los 30,000 ciudadanos que hoy están en estos grupos de seguridad, sabemos quiénes son todos ellos. Por lo tanto, las denuncias tienen un 99% de efectividad. Hace 2 años que empezamos con esto, eran 100 ciudadanos que empezaron los grupos. Y gracias a la confianza, a la efectividad y a la tecnología, logramos que al día de hoy estemos 30,000 ciudadanos cuidando a Saltillo. Para más información detallada, los invito a ver el siguiente video.
A los grupos de WhatsApp y a obtener la aplicación Saltillo Seguro requirió de trabajo de campo, de visitas a las colonias, de juntas con estudiantes, profesionistas, amas de casa, deportistas, empresarios, así como organismos de la sociedad civil. Cuando la ciudadanía vio resultados, al ser atendidos sus reportes, la efectividad de esta estrategia fue permeando en la población y miles de saltillenses se empezaron a sumar y la red comenzó a crecer.
Bueno, las redes de vigilancia están conformadas por la ciudadanía de 2 maneras, en los grupos de WhatsApp y en la aplicación Saltillo Seguro. Los grupos de WhatsApp lo responde el Comisionado de Seguridad y Protección Ciudadana, el Grupo de Reacción Sureste, la Policía Municipal y Tránsito, los Comités Ciudadanos de Seguridad y el Centro de Control y Comando. La segunda manera de atender las redes de vigilancia es mediante la aplicación Saltillo Seguro. En esta aplicación el ciudadano puede hacer distintos reportes. Dependiendo del reporte se trabaja en conjunto con el Centro de Control y Comando y con la Policía Preventiva. Se tiene que atender el reporte en menos de 1 minuto, nosotros tenemos que hacer la llamada, pedir datos, depende del caso del reporte si son personas lesionadas o no. Una vez que llega el reporte por cualquiera de las 2 vías, se envían unidades y se trabaja en conjunto con el Centro de Control y Comando para completar el registro.
Esta ha sido la política pública más exitosa de nuestra administración municipal, que nos ha dado los siguientes resultados según estudios del INEGI. Gracias a la coordinación con el Estado, la Federación, el Ejército y la Guardia Nacional, el combate a la delincuencia ha dado resultado. Desde que inició nuestro gobierno, no ha habido un solo asalto bancario y hemos disminuido un 44.12% el robo a negocio y un 25.84% el robo a persona, posicionándonos como la segunda ciudad con menor percepción de robos en el país. En el tema de efectividad, se pasó de 49% en 2017 a 67% actualmente. La atención rápida y contundente de los reportes de la ciudadanía ha logrado llevar a la Policía Municipal de Saltillo como la segunda más efectiva de todo México. La percepción de inseguridad pasó del 36.6% en enero de 2017 al 32.3% actualmente, lo que posicionó a Saltillo como la 4ª ciudad con menor percepción de inseguridad de México. Ciudadanizar la seguridad dio resultados, y hoy Saltillo está entre las 5 ciudades más seguras de todo el país. La percepción de confianza en la policía de Saltillo mejoró un 23% al pasar de 48.3 puntos en el 2017 a 62.8 en la más reciente ENSU del 2019. Estamos comprometidos con Coahuila y aportamos nuestro esfuerzo y estrategia para que continúe como uno de los estados más seguros de México. La coordinación permanente y diaria con el gobierno estatal ha contribuido para que Coahuila sea uno de los estados más seguros del norte de México. Ya somos más de 29,000 ciudadanos cuidando la ciudad. Fuerte, Coahuila es. Todos por Saltillo, Gobierno Municipal.
Bueno, prácticamente ahí también pudieron ver algo de Saltillo. Y cuando se gobierna una ciudad de 1 millón de habitantes, no quiere decir que no pasen cosas. Hay problemas. Lo importante es que cuando esos problemas son detectados por la autoridad o son señalados por los ciudadanos, haya una reacción efectiva y determinante ante estos problemas. Como lo decía, esta política pública ha sido la más exitosa de nuestro gobierno. Es una política que ya está medida por el Instituto de Estadística con más prestigio en el país. Y bueno, eso nos permite hoy decir que vivimos en uno de los municipios más seguros de México, gracias al trabajo en equipo entre los ciudadanos y el gobierno. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation.
Gracias.
I'd like to call upon the audience for any questions you may have. Please come to the mic. There's a microphone in the center.
Buenas tardes, alcalde, mucho gusto y muy interesante la presentación. Yo también trabajo en el gobierno municipal, en mi caso en la ciudad de La Paz, y algo que hemos tenido en términos de dificultades para atender, en nuestro caso, incidentes relacionados con servicios públicos, es que a partir de trabajar con aplicaciones similares se ha incrementado muchísimo la demanda ciudadana y ha sido muy complicado para nosotros responder a esa demanda. ¿De qué forma en el caso de ustedes han tenido un problema justamente en relación a me imagino, crecimiento sobre el reporte de incidentes y la atención que ustedes tenían que dar?
Para nosotros, el punto de partida para desarrollar políticas públicas es escuchar el sentir y pensar de la gente. La cercanía con los ciudadanos, la plática permanente es la que nos nutre para poder gobernar. Entonces, efectivamente, nosotros al abrir esta aplicación de seguridad, lo primero que tuvimos que revisar es que hubiera una respuesta. Porque en cualquier esfuerzo que haga un gobierno referente a una aplicación de servicios, si no hay una respuesta efectiva, esa aplicación se muere. Pero así como con esta aplicación, donde ya tenemos un canal de comunicación con 30,000 ciudadanos, tenemos el Facebook, tenemos el Instagram, tenemos la página web, y para cada una de estas aplicaciones tenemos un gran equipo que sustenta la atención y el seguimiento a las peticiones de la gente. A final de cuentas, nosotros estamos para servir a los ciudadanos. Esa es nuestra chamba de todos los días, y lo que nos ha permitido que estas aplicaciones sean un éxito es que formemos un muy buen equipo de trabajo, bien capacitado, que tengamos un plan y bueno, que se trabajen muchas horas al día entre este equipo que recibe las peticiones y quien las resuelve.
Do we have another question? Yes, please come up to the microphone. If you come forward, please.
¿Me escuchan? Sí. Buenos días, alcalde. Muchas gracias. Mi nombre es Beatriz Botero. Soy de Bogotá, Colombia, investigadora en la Universidad de Harvard en Estados Unidos. Quería saber si nos puede contar un poco más del procedimiento una vez se hace la denuncia en la aplicación, qué tipos de controles hay, cuáles son como los pasos para que eventualmente se desarrolle una acción ciudadana o estatal, cómo funciona un poco ya la ejecución. Gracias.
Sí, gracias. Hay dos maneras. Está la aplicación Saltillo Seguro, que a través de un sistema se van registrando todas las llamadas. Hay un equipo que les da seguimiento puntualmente junto con un call center. Tenemos dentro de la infraestructura de nuestra policía o de nuestra Comisión de Seguridad y Protección Ciudadana una dirección completa que se llama Consejos Ciudadanos de Seguridad. Eso quiere decir que hay todo un equipo, toda una corporación para atender a estos comités. No solamente es una filial donde lanzamos una aplicación y la dejamos funcionar con un pequeño call center. No, tenemos un director que está solamente debajo del comisionado de seguridad. Entonces es un gran equipo de personas para poderle dar seguimiento. Y en la parte de los grupos de WhatsApp los tenemos por colonia. Ejemplo, llegamos a tu colonia, convocamos a los vecinos, salen 50, 80 vecinos, les platicamos cómo funciona, se hace el grupo de WhatsApp donde están esos 80 vecinos y donde también está el jefe de la policía del barrio, del sector y el jefe del distrito. Y esos grupos son única y exclusivamente para denunciar problemas de tu colonia, de tu barrio. No se pueden mandar ni buenos días, ni se puede mandar el meme del día, ni se puede mandar ninguna otra cosa que no tenga que ver con alguna emergencia de seguridad. Y eso nos ha permitido que nuestra policía municipal haya reaccionado ante algún incidente hasta en 30 segundos. ¿Por qué? Porque cae la denuncia en el WhatsApp, en automático la ven los jefes de la policía, y ha habido veces que tenemos patrullas colocadas estratégicamente en los cuadrantes de la ciudad que han estado a 2 o 3 cuadras del problema y llegan de inmediato. Entonces, este proyecto nos ha permitido que nuestra policía haya crecido más de 20 puntos en la confianza que la gente tiene con ellos. Y es lo que nos ha permitido que la efectividad de nuestra policía municipal, junto con el apoyo del gobernador Miguel Riquelme, sea hoy en día la segunda más efectiva del país, de 2.500 municipios, y sea la segunda más efectiva del país, con el 5º municipio más seguro, en una zona a 2 horas de Laredo, Texas, donde pasan las vías férreas, donde pasa la carretera más importante de México y donde está, pues, esa frontera donde suceden muchas cosas complicadas.
We have time for one more question, please. Anybody? Yes.
Disculpa, si entendí bien, tienen 2 sistemas, una aplicación de WhatsApp y una aplicación directa. Hablabas anteriormente de que tenías unos comités que alcanzaron a ser 30.000 personas, que son los que participan en esto. Mi primera pregunta es, entiendo que no todos pueden hacer uso de la aplicación, digamos, esas 30.000 personas no todas pueden hacer uso de la aplicación, sí, sino algún grupo, digamos, hay una segmentación de los 30.000 entre quienes pueden hacer uso de la aplicación y quienes pueden hacer uso del grupo de WhatsApp. La segunda pregunta es, ¿cómo seleccionas esas 30.000 personas? ¿Cómo se forma parte de ese comité? ¿Qué criterio utilizan ustedes de selección de esas personas? Si hay algún tipo de veto, digamos, ustedes pueden, cualquiera puede formar parte del comité, ustedes finalmente vetan, seleccionan de alguna forma. Básicamente esa es mi pregunta.
Muy bien. ¿Otra pregunta? ¿Quieres que tome las 2 y respondo las 2?
I don't understand Spanish. Okay. I'm sorry. English to me. I'm sorry.
No, can I take that question as well, so I can take 2?
If they're quick, yes, because we're on a bit of a tight schedule. Yes, gracias. Please go ahead.
Una pregunta, vengo de Colombia. Quisiera preguntar sobre las llamadas, los registros de los 911 en Estados Unidos, no sé, en México. Tienen un 80% de personas que llaman, son falsas llamadas. En ese registro de aplicaciones también hay falsos positivos o falsas emergencias, y cómo las han resuelto. Gracias.
Muy bien, pues las 2 preguntas se empatan. ¿Cómo le hacemos para mantener blindados estos comités? De entrada, no es una aplicación, ni los grupos de WhatsApp son públicos. ¿Qué quiero decir con esto? Que ustedes no los pueden bajar directamente. Para que los ciudadanos tengan acceso a estos comités o a este proyecto, ellos nos llaman para nosotros visitarlos en su colonia o en su barrio. Entonces, de entrada, estamos teniendo contacto con algún ciudadano que es una buena persona porque es el presidente de su comunidad, el líder de su comunidad. Entonces, este líder de la comunidad o presidente del barrio o encargado del edificio nos reúne a sus vecinos. Por lo tanto, nos está reuniendo a la gente que conoce. Los interesados los registramos con nombre, con teléfono, con dirección. Los capacitamos sobre el funcionamiento de la aplicación y de los grupos de WhatsApp. La aplicación la pueden tener todos en lo individual y el WhatsApp es algo colectivo para poderse dar cuenta qué está pasando. Y una vez que los capacitamos, nosotros, nuestro equipo, les instalamos la aplicación en su celular y ahí mismo los ingresamos al grupo de WhatsApp. Eso quiere decir que entre ellos mismos se conocen y saben quiénes son. Y como hacemos este procedimiento, por lo tanto, el 99% de las llamadas o el 99% de las denuncias son reales, porque es gente que conocimos, que tenemos registrada, que capacitamos y que les instalamos la aplicación o los ingresamos a nuestros grupos. Puede ser que por ahí haya alguna persona que no deba de estar, pero estamos ciertos que el 95% de los ciudadanos que son parte de estos grupos, de esta comunidad, es gente buena, gente trabajadora y gente que quiere lo mejor para su familia. O sea, el 99% de las denuncias han sido reales. Si hay una broma, si hay una mala información, se saca del grupo, se elimina de la aplicación. Y los 30,000 ciudadanos son los 30,000 ciudadanos que hemos trabajado durante estos 2 años y que todos los días se agregan 50, 60, 70 y así hemos ido desde que empezamos en el 2018.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you.
Si hay alguna duda, estoy a sus órdenes para contestar cuestiones más particulares. Muchísimas gracias y que sea un éxito este congreso.
Thank you very much. We will now have a 10-minute networking break, and please come back for our panel on cyber-threat-ready cities, ensuring security and privacy. So please feel free to mingle, but stick around. In 10 minutes, we will resume. Thank you. sound. It's on. Would everyone please take your seats? We'll be starting in a moment. Please, everyone, take your seats. If you'd like to have conversations, if you don't mind to please take it outside. We're going to be starting our panel momentarily. This panel is entitled Cyber Resilient Cities, Ensuring Security and Privacy. I'd like to call upon John Biggs. He's an online reporter for TechCrunch.
Which one? This one? I'll just use this one. All right, so we have I'm John Biggs, TechCrunch, CoinDesk. I'm also a pretender that I actually understand any of this stuff. Making up a bunch of stuff up here. We're doing cyber-threat-ready cities. Cities have been dealing with cyber threats for probably the past 5 years in a very, very major way. We've seen cities being shut down. We've seen ransomware taking out multiple organizations inside of these cities. These 4 people that we're going to bring up here have been dealing with this in a very real way. So the way this works is we have about 8 minutes each for their presentations. They're going to bring up one at a time. And then we're going to have a very short panel of about 15, 20 minutes where you guys can ask questions. So first up, we have Seok-Woo Ri. He's from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And he's the Associate Director for CPS Innovation. And you're going to come up here and tell us how to avoid all this good stuff.
Thanks, everybody. Is there any kind of clicker that I can use? Oh, here we go. All right, this should be it. Hello, everyone. I work for NIST, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. So I'm a federal employee, but we work a lot on technologies. NIST is essentially a research and development arm of Commerce Department. And by the way, when I say CPS, Cyber Physical Systems, instead of going too much into it, think of it as Internet of Things on steroid. Internet of Things for infrastructure and big stuff, that's what CPS is. So this is how we see IoT. The reason I'm telling you what this is because it is closely related to smart cities. There is physical systems, sensing and actuation and so on. There are communications, data analytics, and services and human. If you superimpose this structure onto a city, that becomes a smart city. So just like any emerging technologies, smart city has to be addressed in 2 different dimensions. One is the market. The other one is technology side. So as a NIST, we work on measurement science and standards. We also like to create momentum in the market to create consensus among stakeholders. So how do we do it? We have 2 programs that we enable the market consensus and technology consensus. One is called the Global City Teams Challenge, which is driving the market consensus. Second is Smart Cities and Communities Framework Series, which is driving the technology consensus. Now, the problem we are trying to address in the smart cities is how do you make the cities to work together instead of reinventing the wheel over and over again. And that also includes the cybersecurity and privacy issues, because if every city does their security and privacy one by one, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of investment to make it work. We should be able to share. We should be able to replicate the success from one city to another. So that's why we create a program in partnership with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and also NTIA, which is another bureau inside of Commerce Department. And also there are a lot of other departments, including International Trade Administration, which is also part of the Commerce Department as well. So this is how we do it. Again, remember, this is a market-driven approach. We want the market to converge. We want the market to find best practices so that they can replicate and scale these issues. So instead of each city working on each product one by one, we create a mechanism called action clusters. We call this the cities and companies and universities around the common topics of interest. And whatever that comes out of the process, we are hoping it will be replicable and scalable to many other cities. That's why it's more than just one-on-one match. It's a multiple cities versus multiple companies and universities. And a lot of these topics can be also categorized into something called the superclusters. Transportation, supercluster, energy, supercluster, public safety, and so on. Now, with this effort, we also work with Homeland Security. This is where the cybersecurity and privacy becomes important. We call it cybersecurity by design. You cannot add, we should not add cybersecurity and privacy after the product is developed. You have to embed this concept during this development and deployment of these technologies. So that's why we combine forces together. We bring our teams, and DHS brings their decades of experience in the cybersecurity and privacy, and we create a joint program called the Smart and Secure Cities Challenge. So I explained about the market-driven approach. What we are trying to do is by creating this momentum and consensus, we hope the best practices can be identified, and the market, when I say market, it includes companies, universities, all these stakeholders, can replicate the success one has on the other. Now, second approach we are taking is what we call technology-driven approach. Now we collected all this information for the last several years. We are trying to document, we are trying to create what we call framework that can be published and cities can use and companies can use as a foundation. Every city is unique, so you cannot just copy and paste from one city to another. However, there is always this 60 to 70% of the foundational layer that can be shared. And the other 30% and 40% on top of it can be customized and tailored by cities' own requirements and cities' own priorities. If every city is going to try to develop their own smart city from scratch, 100%, it's going to take probably 2,000 years or more to have all more smart cities around the world. That's not what we are trying to see. We are trying to see the rapid adoption of these technologies as fast as we can. So what we are trying to do as a NIST is also come up with a collection of technical guidelines and best practices out of these real-world scenarios, and then share them with a lot of cities. Now, there are 4 categories that we identified. First one is a cross-cutting and foundational themes. This is like a KPI. This is like municipal IoT, cybersecurity and privacy and data platforms. And second category is vertical, like transportation and public safety, energy, and so on. Third one is more about the method and implementation. Theory is great, but how to implement it. This is where the innovation capacity building is important. This is where coordination, economic sustainability is important. And fourth category is case studies. Now, this is sort of like how you see all these different pieces get together. Left side is vertical and cross-cutting themes all work together to create a smart city. Now, right side is, okay, out of these principles and theories, how can you implement, and what are the case studies? What are the great examples that you can tout and other cities can replicate? So that's pretty much what I got. U.S. Commerce Department has a booth outside, right over there, that is also accompanied by companies and also cities like Atlanta as part of it. So please visit U.S. Commerce Department, booth outside, and thank you very much. And if you want to grab me after this, fine, or you have emails over there that you can reach me out. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, cool. Now we have Arthur Coletti, T-Systems Hungary, IT security strategist. He's from Budapest. He's going to come up here and tell us about some IT work. Come on.
IT work.
And you do have a thing right there.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Here's a clicker. Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces from last year, which is really great. I think last year we had this session at the end of the event, and now it's in the beginning of the event. And so I think it's a big thing. We should celebrate that. Probably the reason why I'm happy about this is that since I've been dealing with cybersecurity for over 20 years, I've developed sort of like a minority complex when we need to talk about cybersecurity. It's because we're a little bit like party crashers. So when everyone's happy and everyone is done with all these beautiful projects and smart city innovations, we just come and we turn everything off. This is what we do usually from a cybersecurity perspective. So I'm here to talk about this problem and the way we see it with T-Systems. What we think about this is that the city will never go offline and the threats will never go offline either. To solve this, we'll have to think in a multi-dimensional way. One of those dimensions you can see here. On the left side of the screen, you could see a video of what we call Shodan. Shodan is a system that can be used by hackers or ethical hackers or security professionals, security researchers to look for vulnerable cameras all over the globe. Now you can tell that once you find one, for instance this one, you can peek into anyone's apartment, you can switch to the other cameras that person is using in their apartment. This is little bit like Meta, when you're peeking on someone who's looking at somebody else on the screen, but that's it. So this is dimension one, and you would be surprised, how many times you're being caught on camera a day. It's over 100. And if you've got 64 cameras, and they're running for 24 hours a day, recording in 1080p, you will end up having over 83 terabytes of information. It's a lot of information, especially if you're trying to analyze the content of the information, whether it's sensitive or not, whether it's privacy related or not. So we got vulnerable information caught by vulnerable sensors. On dimension two, we got other problems. The back end of those sensors, the systems that are working with the data are also vulnerable. What you can see here on the right side is a video from a few years ago where the infamous Anonymous group is actually hacking real-time the Philippines election system. What they do now is they exfiltrate over 56 million records from the database, about 80 gigabytes of information. And you might think that this information is encoded, but the problem is that they have also developed a decoder for the information. It wasn't really that difficult. So what's going on today is that we have like a very complicated ecosystem that we built to run smart cities, to run organizations, and they're quite vulnerable. What you can see on the left side of the screen is the result of a hacking marathon that happened over this weekend. Roughly about a few hundred Chinese security researchers were testing their zero-day exploits on all these different applications that we're using today. The lines in green are the successful hacks this weekend. Microsoft Edge, Chrome, D-Link devices, whatever, everything is actually on there. Now in dimension three, we are moving forward, we got another problem. This whole thing is going on 7x24. What you see there is an image video of what we have in T-Systems. We call that the Cyber Threat Resilience Team Control, and that is a SOC, a security operations center that we're running 7x24 to prevent attacks, to analyze the data that we are getting from all over organizations and smart cities. Our estimation is that there is roughly about 1 million attacks per day per smart city. And they can happen as low as under 2 minutes per attack. Now the problem today is that organizations need 200 days to find and 70 days to deal with breaches. So if you don't have the proper way to handle incidents, you're in big trouble. Now dimension 4. Your attackers are now really diverse. What you can see here on the right side is a system that's been run by Troy Hunt, an Australian cybersecurity specialist, and it will tell you whether your account got compromised before and where and how your information got leaked. As you could tell, I entered my private email address there, And it seems that my credentials were involved in many of those leaks all over the years. LinkedIn in 2016, Tondu just recently, and all that. And in that database, you can find over 8 billion compromised accounts. Now, that is why organized crime moved into cyber, and they're making roughly 2 trillion, and they're causing 2.5 trillion US dollars of damage each year. Over 30 nations now got the ability to attack other nations, to exfiltrate your defenses, to penetrate your defenses, and we're calling them APTs for Advanced Persistent Threats, because that's what they can do. They can install, they can compromise your systems, and they can exfiltrate data from your systems. Now, hacktivism is an interesting perspective. They seem to find their roots from, like, they're moving from being like a global political player into like local stuff. That might be a big danger for smart cities. Just recently, I've heard that there's a hacking bounty offered about $100,000 by Phineas Fisher, an infamous hacker, to any hackers who would hack into a bank or a financial institution or any other public body and would recover all the emails and would put them online for everyone else to read. And insider threats are growing too. And this is also a major threat you need to deal with. Now on dimension 5, we have the lack of awareness. Now that is the biggest problem. In cyber, we are saying that if there were no people in the system, we would definitely be able to protect it, for sure. But the problem is that there are people. And the lack of awareness is like a pretty big of a problem for us. My estimation is that in 2020, we will still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the most popular password. And now, if you're saying that you don't have anyone with that password, just pay attention to this gentleman's hand. He's a politician from a political commercial. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and enter. Of course, maybe it was, you know, an empty Excel sheet and he just entered the test value, but right, okay, fine, okay, I understand it. Now, this other video is from the commercial hearing of Mr. Zuckerberg, where he was allegedly grilled over, you know, what Facebook is doing or privacy, blah, blah, blah. But the camera caught this gentleman there who was entering his password on the phone. It's a different one. It's more secure. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's Q, 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 Q. All right, so that's why it's not surprising that over 90% of the attacks, successful attacks are phishing attacks. And they're building on vulnerability of people. Now, the last dimension is the problem that cities have never done this before. They have never operated anything really in cybersecurity, or 7x24. And what you see here on the screen is the mayor of Atlanta trying to explain why the citizens of Atlanta were not able to access functions of the city, were not able to do whatever they've been doing with the city for about a week because of a ransomware. I suggest you watch this video on YouTube. It's really interesting. She's been talking about the FBI working with, you know, all these kind of organizations to resolve the problem, but actually she doesn't know the answer. And I don't think any mayor wants to deliver a press conference like that. And the problem is that, you know, the cities, the municipals, the local governments, only 62% of them got a written policy for personally owned devices, and only 33% of them do have a policy for recovering from breaches. And that is a problem here. Bad crisis communication can ruin everything. Even though we are trying to protect the city, if you don't know how to communicate about your problems to the public, that's going to be a problem. So that's why we have developed a model. We call that a PSA model. This model covers all the different layers, all the different dimensions that I've mentioned in a unique way. It's the privacy and security assessment model that we're using here. It's a complex multi-layer approach. It's a risk-aware risk assessment thinking. It includes processes and technology because those are the two major pillars that your city is relying on. We're focusing on smart city building and operations because smart cities are different than companies. They are not typical organization. In an organization, you have some kind of contractual relationship with your employees. You know them, at least there is a way to know them. But in a city, you have citizens, you have people, you have tourists. It's much harder to keep in touch with them, even educate them for awareness. So what we do is that we build on partnerships. We're doing baselining. It's a threshold for hardware, software integration, project management, process management, and overall operations. And we also build on privacy by design, which was already mentioned today, because you can't put security in your systems afterwards. Yeah, of course you can do that, but it would cost you about 10 times more. And of course, you'll also have to deal with your subcontractors. Now, looking into the future, where we are going, because I'm also working as a futurist. On the left side, you can see is a little screw, and inside the screw, that little shiny thing is a camera. This is where we're going. You will not be able to detect those devices, and it's going to be really hard to preserve privacy in a world where we're going to have tiny little cameras in little screws. On the other hand, we're also moving towards a more transhuman future. What you see on the other side is a video from a movie that's being made in the US, and I'm happy to be the executive producer of this movie. It's called The Side Extended. And what it says that in the future we will all have smart contact lenses. Those smart contact lenses will provide us with every information that we have today on our smartphones. Now, you should question yourself, how are you going to protect your citizens? How are you going to protect the data of a smart city when you simply can't detect the people who are recording everything, or you simply don't know who is actually wearing a smart tag or a smart device? Thank you very much for your attention.
Super. So next up we have Kirk Arthur from Microsoft, Senior Director Worldwide of Government Industry. He was also a former Secret Service agent. It's really hard to tell from his size. You got it?
All right. What? Is this on? Can you guys hear me in the back? I know it's pretty loud back there. So, as you alluded to, my name is Kirk Arthur. I look after Microsoft's worldwide government industry business. I've been with the company for just over 5 years. I joined from U.S. Secret Service, where I was a special agent for a little over 15 years. Prior to that, I was a police officer. So I'm an operational guy. My last 4 years of Secret Service, I led what we call the Electronic Crimes Task Forces. And those are partnerships with governments, they're partnerships with court systems, with the academic community, and most importantly, partnerships with industry. Because it has to be a partnership to combat cybercrime. Arthur just showcased the sophisticated state when you think about advanced persistent threats in nation states, but it's also the monetization from cyber criminals. Right before I left the agency, we traveled around Europe, met with our federal law enforcement counterparts, and we were seeing organized crime transition from traditional methods of monetizing, going to the dark web, and going after and pursuing crime that way. It was a dynamic shift. They're making a lot more money, and governments around the world are so constrained, especially law enforcement, to counter this, that if you're a victim of a breach, most people are ill-prepared, especially governments. When you think about the broad systems they have, we just hosted a customer from a European country a few weeks ago. They had over 400 systems in their ecosystem that they're individually maintaining. That's a huge attack plane that criminals can pursue and get after. That's not uncommon for most governments around the world. So we got to work with the private sector, the private industry, and have good partnerships to start reducing that aperture and really improving your capabilities. So we're in this super cool world where we're talking about big data. so much data, especially not just governments, but think regionally, think nationally, internationally, what that could mean from just the engagement with citizens and how they interact with their governments. There's an expectation of a paperless process. I want to access services through a mobile device or from my home, whether it's a court system, it's a tax system, whatever that might be. I want to use it in my terms, my time, my day of the week. Then you think about cloud computing. Cloud is an enabler both for governments but also criminals, and they're using horsepower in the dark web to really enhance their capabilities in that sense. So you have to look at these technologies as a countermeasure to what the criminals are using as they pursue your systems. Then we think about IoT. Think about the infrastructure that sits in the city, both from the private sector, but then the city-owned assets. That's an opportunity to bring these systems together and start gleaming insights and improving the government response, but also that attack vector, that attack plane we're talking about, and working again with the private sector to really work through those capabilities. And the last thing is artificial intelligence. And that's not self-driving cars, that's not a chat robot cruising around a neighborhood or a parking lot. What that is like language services for people accessing government systems when they call in. It's freeing up dispatch staff so they can actually work through calls for service, and people using chatbots to run license plate, to run driver's checks. It's using artificial intelligence for optical character recognition. If I'm looking for a suspect that just did an active shooter scenario, can I use my CCTV infrastructure to actually find that person? Did they get in a vehicle? Can I access automated license plate recognition systems to see the last known direction of travel so I can really enhance my responsiveness? So we have to think about IoT and those capabilities and how we're going to pursue it. In the 70s, we saw the mainframe come online. And unfortunately, mainframe still exists, right, in ecosystems around the world. But we're going to this ubiquitous era of multi-computing, multi-devices, and how we engage and do our jobs day to day. It's such an awesome opportunity for cities and governments to really enhance that experience for their citizens. But it needs to be foundation and coupled on cybersecurity. For Microsoft, $1 billion, or actually a little over $1 billion now, that's what we invest every year on securing our assets and our data estate. For us, for our customers, and for partner businesses that use our technology. We're a software company. If you don't trust us, you're not going to use us. We're out of business, right? So it's our #1 priority. We can talk about AI, we can talk about IoT, we can talk about mobility. If you don't have a strong foundation on cyber and trust, what's the point? So for Microsoft, it's about a partnership and engaging and having those conversations. It's not about a transaction. It's about this partnership, working through it, whether it's 5, 10, 15 years down the road, whatever your vision is as an entity, we want to walk through with that step with you and really understand what's going on. So for us, one of the key things on our platform is identity. And Arthur, I love that video. It showed 1, 2, 3, 4 common passwords. For us, 81% of breaches are caused by credential theft. 73% password duplicates. 80% employees using non-approved IT. So your shadow IT. Not because they're being nefarious, but they're trying to work through things. If you guys remember at the airport in Brussels a couple years ago when they had the terrorist bombing, the emergency network failed. So the officers were using WhatsApp, an unsecured device and platform, to communicate because their agency didn't have the effectiveness and didn't have the bandwidth to support secure communications. You don't want to have that. You want to have that resilience, that ability to scale up and work through problems and come out of it on the other side far more comprehensive. For us, one number is 6.5 trillion. That's the number of threats we monitor daily that come through our system. And when you think about 5 billion threats, again, detected through those monetization, we have this vast ecosystem. When you think about Bing, our search engine, think about even our Xbox platform, think about all of our software capabilities, our email clients, all this stuff provides telemetry. There's over 6.5 trillion signals that hit our system. We can't monitor that by humans, right? We have to use our own cloud computing, our own AI to understand where the tripwires are, where's Kirk Arthur today? He's in Barcelona, Spain. If I access a system somewhere else in the world, obviously I'm not there. The system knows that, so maybe we default to multi-factor authentication, understanding where I'm at on a second-by-second basis. The number of breaches, it's been, I think, 240 days it was 2 years ago. The days that somebody sat in your system without you knowing they're in your system. Our number is 90, I think you showed 70 days. That's too long. Days need to turn into hours. Hours need to turn into minutes, and minutes into seconds. And you gotta use that cloud computing and the capabilities and working with partner businesses to do that. Because, end of the day, and I'll finish on this thought, is every city, we're all citizens of our countries or cities wherever we live in. Think about all the systems you access on a daily basis. The moment you walk out of your home, you drive on the streets, all your city, county, statewide services or provincial services, all those working harmoniously can be a hugely impactful opportunity for citizens and for the governments that serve those citizens. But flip that on the other side, it can also be turned against you. And you mentioned Atlanta, when they went through the ransomware. Ransomware is on the rise everywhere around the world, and systems are getting breached all the time, and people are being paralyzed with these, and they're paying these fees, which is the wrong approach to it because it just encourages more behavior. It's not just governments, it's school systems, it's private entities. You really do need to mitigate that human factor and start having some capabilities under the hood to try and work through that problem, because you can have the best perimeter defense around there, but if somebody gets an email from a fictitious uncle that lives in a certain country and they think they won something, they click on that, they've defeated your problem. So working through those capabilities and even evolving into a zero trust architecture where now you're getting into the file structure and securing at that point and worrying about internal threats and what that might look like. So for us, it's about a partnership, it's about a journey, it's about sharing knowledge and exchange. We share it with our competitors in the market. We work with the IV industry. It's all about this knowledge exchange so we can help kind of collectively combat the cyber criminals out there. So we have a huge story to tell on this. I really encourage everyone to come to our booth. Let's spend 30, 40 minutes with us. Let us walk through you all the processes, all the capabilities we offer, because there's so much out there and so much opportunities that we really encourage it. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you, Kirk. Now we have one more presentation, Grace Andrea Quintana Ortega. Is that perfect? All right, and she's going to be doing it in Spanish. She's from the Ministry of Information Technology and Communications in Bogota, Colombia. She's Deputy Director of Government in Colombia. Thanks.
Hola, ¿me escuchan bien? Buenos días a todos, ¿cómo están? ¿Bien? Hola, me alegra mucho. Mi nombre es Grace Quintana, ex subdirectora de Gobierno Digital de Colombia. Quiero presentarles un poco de cómo estamos haciendo toda la migración hacia territorios y ciudades inteligentes en el país. Hemos tenido grandes retos, uno de esos, pues, y que es el punto central que quiero tocar hoy, es la cultura ciudadana. No, esto de ciudades inteligentes no se trata solamente de seguridad a través de tecnología y demás, sino que también necesitamos tener una cultura, un buen uso de la tecnología y de todas las iniciativas que no necesariamente sean tecnología, que propicien ciudades inteligentes, pero esa cultura la tenemos que generar en los ciudadanos. Entonces, ¿qué ha pasado? A nivel mundial, pues, sabemos que ya se está hablando de la industria 4.0, la industria 4.0 habla de la cuarta revolución industrial porque estamos centrados sobre todo en innovación y en uso de tecnología en absolutamente todos los procesos y todas las cosas que hacemos en nuestra vida. Entonces, ¿cuál es el objetivo general de esta propuesta colombiana? Es promover la implementación de iniciativas de ciudades y territorios inteligentes utilizando las TIC como política pública. Nosotros antes, una de las grandes brechas que teníamos también es que la tecnología, no sé si pasa en sus países, pero la tecnología estaba vista como los que arreglábamos el internet, los que traíamos la impresora y cosas como estas. Entonces hemos dado un vuelco a ese tipo de visión sobre el área de tecnología y hoy en día a través de un marco de referencia de arquitectura empresarial de TI, lo que hicimos es que ya la tecnología no es un área de apoyo, sobre todo en las entidades públicas del país, sino que es un área estratégica. Es decir, que se usa tecnología para la toma de decisiones basadas en datos y lo que hacemos es pues justamente apalancar el mejoramiento de todas las entidades. Entonces, por eso se habla de política pública con uso de tecnología. En el nuevo plan de desarrollo de Colombia que empezó en el 2018, nosotros tenemos Pacto por Colombia, Pacto por la Equidad, y dentro de este plan de desarrollo nacional lo que se habla es que se podrán definir estrategias de ciudad inteligente. Esto es muy importante porque si desde la política pública le decimos a todas las ciudades debes volverte una ciudad inteligente, pues lo vamos a lograr mucho más fácil. Entonces, ¿cómo estamos en Colombia a nivel, digamos, sectorial? Quien dicta los lineamientos técnicos para ciudad inteligente es el Ministerio de Tecnologías. El Departamento Nacional de Planeación es quien dicta la política de ciudad inteligente y se van a tener lineamientos por cada sector, pues para tener avances en movilidad, en todo el tema agro, seguridad, energía, etcétera. ¿Cómo se va a evidenciar esa transformación digital de los diferentes sectores con uso de tecnología y pues propiciando iniciativas de ciudad inteligente? Haciendo visible la economía digital en las estadísticas económicas, comprendiendo los impactos económicos de la transformación digital, porque muchas veces tenemos miles de estadísticas pero no las estamos usando. Sabemos, un ejemplo, los automóviles. En Bogotá, ¿quiénes conocen Bogotá? Ok, han sufrido, me imagino, que el tráfico de Bogotá, ¿cierto? Entonces, algunas de las estadísticas que tenemos es cuántos carros, por ejemplo, hay, cuántos vehículos transitan por las, digamos, vías más importantes de Bogotá, pero no estamos haciendo nada con esa información. Entonces, es esto que queremos, comprender esas estadísticas económicas y pues de todos los datos que tenemos, demográficos, en fin, del país, es que nos sirvan para tomar decisiones. Entonces, por ejemplo, si sabemos que en la calle 26 de Bogotá transitan muchos más carros en horas picos de 2 a 4 de la tarde, pues el gobierno debería tomar una decisión para poder mejorar ese tránsito por esa vía. Debemos fomentar la medición de impactos de transformación digital en los objetivos sociales y bienestar de las personas, diseñar enfoques nuevos e interdisciplinarios para la recolección y medición de datos, monitorear tecnologías emergentes que sustentan la transformación digital a través de nuevas tecnologías, IoT, en fin, definir y medir las necesidades de habilidades para la transformación digital, la confianza del entorno online y el marco de evaluación de impacto. Uno de los grandes inconvenientes que tenemos en Latinoamérica es justamente esa confianza, y no solamente es la confianza digital, que ahorita en el panel les vamos a hablar un poco del tema de seguridad y demás, sino que esa gran brecha es la confianza. ¿Qué tanta confianza existe entre el ciudadano y la industria, entre el ciudadano y el gobierno? Es algo que tenemos que mitigar. Bueno, esas son estadísticas que tenemos para saber que más del 80% hacia el 2030 en Colombia vivirán en las ciudades. Entonces, por eso necesitamos una política pública para que se puedan fomentar esas ciudades. ¿Cuáles son los desafíos de esos territorios inteligentes? Entonces, los desafíos son las capacidades de los gobiernos locales, porque tenemos que entender también que tienen que tener personal que comprendan, gente capacitada, tecnología, innovación, gestión de la información, que es muy importante, redes de telecomunicaciones, desarrollo urbano, movilidad, seguridad, gestión de residuos, saneamiento, energía, en fin, todas las iniciativas que tienen que ver con una ciudad inteligente. ¿Qué pasó en una encuesta que hizo el Departamento Nacional de Planeación, que les contaba que es quien tiene que dictar la política pública de ciudad inteligente? La conclusión fue que no se están utilizando las tecnologías como una herramienta eficiente para entender las necesidades ciudadanas y que se necesita realmente esas intervenciones de tecnología realizadas en los territorios, porque las que hay son muy buenas pero están dispersas. Entonces, por ejemplo, nosotros tenemos un departamento antidesastres, bomberos, en fin, y todos tienen muy buenos proyectos y procesos para temas de ciudades inteligentes, iniciativas, pero no se están hablando entre ellos. Entonces, lo que se necesita es una integración entre todos los actores que tienen que participar para que la ciudad sea más inteligente, incluyendo el ciudadano. desconocimiento sobre cómo implementar una ciudad inteligente y no existe una visión integral. Ese es otro, digamos, de los inconvenientes porque siempre se planea a corto plazo. Y al ser cortoplacistas lo que logramos es que cuando se acaba un gobierno, pues vuelve y empiezan las iniciativas y dejamos atrás los proyectos que tal vez estaban muy avanzados. Esto es lo que consideran los territorios que más hace falta. Entonces, no lo alcanzan a ver ahí, pero es faltas de capacidades, es decir, de talento humano capacitado, falta de presupuesto y falta de acompañamiento por parte del gobierno nacional. Esta visión a largo plazo, pues ya lo estamos obteniendo con ONU Habitat, con la OCDE, con el BID, en fin, y es pues lo que nos hace pensar también que si tenemos una visión a largo plazo podríamos lograr tener ciudades inteligentes. ¿Cuáles son las principales entonces actividades a realizar con nuestros stakeholders que son gobierno, industria, academia y ciudadanía? Entonces, identificar esos desafíos y cuáles son los problemas que tenemos, que ya lo hicimos. Hacer una co-creación de soluciones, ya lo estamos logrando con la industria, con la academia y con el gobierno, y determinar el grado de madurez del territorio. Entonces, nosotros proponemos un modelo de ciudad y territorio inteligente que lo que va a lograr es que pues haya un mejor turismo, más desarrollo social, más desarrollo económico, mayor innovación, mejor movilidad, y lo vamos a hacer a través de un modelo escalonable. Entonces, pues, ¿qué es una ciudad inteligente? Para el Departamento Nacional de Planeación está concebida como aquella que logra una visión holística de sí misma y de su entorno por medio del tratamiento de sus datos e información para la toma de decisiones con el fin último de generar valor y mejorar la calidad de vida de los ciudadanos. Nosotros todo lo que hacemos desde el gobierno es justamente para mejorar calidad de vida de los ciudadanos, o si no, pues no valdría la pena. Este es el modelo. Nosotros tenemos 6 dimensiones del modelo. El modelo tiene la dimensión de entorno inteligente, que es donde tenemos todo lo que tiene que ver más con espacio, con medio ambiente, prevención de desastres, en fin. Economía inteligente, entonces ya está todo lo que tiene que ver con comercio electrónico, manejo de marcas a través de las redes sociales, internet, demás. Ciudadanía inteligente, varios de los modelos mundiales de ciudad inteligente no coincide al ciudadano dentro de sus dimensiones. Esa es una de las grandes diferencias de este modelo, que para nosotros el ciudadano sí es una dimensión, justamente por crearle esa cultura que les contaba ahorita que deben tener. Vida inteligente, que es más, digamos, muy fitness, todo lo que está de moda ahorita. Gobierno inteligente, nosotros dentro de gobierno inteligente vemos lo que estamos haciendo desde gobierno electrónico en el país, gobierno digital, en donde hacemos todo lo que tiene que ver con apertura de datos, transformación digital, todo lo que tiene que ver con participación ciudadana, con servicios y trámites digitales y movilidad inteligente. Entonces, ¿cómo vamos a hacer esos ejes, que funcionen esas dimensiones a través de estos ejes habilitantes, que son liderazgo y gestión, pues para hacer integración entre los actores, como les decía ahorita, institucionalidad y financiamiento, porque necesitamos los recursos económicos para poderlo lograr e implementar, el capital humano, pues que sea un capital justamente capacitado, tecnología e interoperabilidad. Colombia acaba de adquirir XROAD como experiencia de caso de éxito para que lo podamos utilizar entre todas las entidades públicas del país y le podamos hacer la vida al ciudadano un poco más fácil sin que tenga que ir a entidad por entidad a dar su información, sino que el Estado ya cuenta con esa información. Deberíamos simplemente intercambiarla de manera transparente para el ciudadano y eso es lo que vamos a hacer. Y a través de infraestructura. Entonces, como les contaba, es un modelo escalonable porque no podemos lograr una ciudad inteligente de un momento para otro, así que vamos por hitos hasta llegar de inicial a optimizado. Y la metodología de implementación entonces es identificar cuál dimensión quisiera trabajar el alcalde, el gobernador, el jefe, no sé cómo se dice acá, del ayuntamiento. Conocer el nivel de madurez a través de un autodiagnóstico que tenemos bastante completo, en donde se identifica cuál es el nivel de madurez entre todos los niveles que les mostré ahorita, de inicial a optimizado. generar nuevas capacidades. También en el mapa existe un mapa de capacidades en donde dice, por ejemplo, este municipio no está abriendo muy bien sus datos, está abriendo datos que no tienen suficiente calidad. Entonces se generan capacidades para mejorar la apertura de sus datos y así puede ir subiendo su nivel y establecer nuevos niveles para irlos alcanzando poco a poco. Entonces, ¿qué es el modelo de madurez? Una ruta de implementación a través de actividades enfocadas en fortalecer las diferentes capacidades que tienen las ciudades y los municipios, herramientas, como les decía, tenemos un mapa completo de capacidades para desarrollar, está el proyecto colectivo a largo plazo, maximización del uso de los recursos, generación de datos estratégicos, porque pues justamente hay datos que se estaban generando y no estaban teniendo el valor pues, que se necesita. Fortalecimiento del proceso de toma de decisiones a través de datos y justamente de datos abiertos para analizarlos y pues, hacer todo lo que tiene que ver con analítica, abordaje integral de las estrategias de ciudad inteligente y el desarrollo de la autogestión. Entonces, ¿qué soñamos en Colombia con este modelo? Fortalecer la gestión pública, definitivamente mejorar la toma de decisiones y cumplir con las metas del plan de desarrollo territorial y de los planes de acción de las entidades. Muchas gracias.
Okay, guys, let's have everybody come on up here. Grace, ¿quieres? Yo hablo español como un burro. ¿Quieres todo en inglés o español?
¿Cómo
¿No hay
quieras?
problema?
Sí.
Bien.
Okay.
All right, and if you have any trouble, we can mess around and figure something out. All right, very cool. So we had I want to give you guys some time to ask questions of these folks. Everybody has a deep wealth of experience here, but I'm jet lagged, a little dystopian. What's the worst that can happen if we don't start working on what you guys are working on right now? And you just go down the line.
All right, so I always say it this way. In traditional IT system, if there's a cybersecurity breach, your credit card number is gonna get lost, you may lose some money. If there is a cybersecurity problem in a smart city, people may die. That's the difference.
And how do they die?
Well, smart city systems are going to be connected to physical systems, meaning transportation, there's public safety systems, energy systems. If that's being messed around, you're going to have a bigger problem than your credit card number.
Is it on? Do you hear me? No, probably not.
Can we get Arthur's mic
Oh,
up?
you didn't hear me either?
No, we got you. We got you. Your mic. Your dude.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
That's what happens, you know, when technology is off. So, well, I think you saw the statistics. Atlanta itself lost probably $17 million US trying to recover from the ransomware. So you're definitely gonna lose a lot of money. On the other hand, my belief is that the smart city is far more complicated than an average organization. So all these things are pretty much connected to each other. So when one domino falls, you'll experience like a huge issue with all of our other systems that you're dealing with. Your city might not be running telecommunication. Maybe that is something you're getting from a provider, but everything else might be running by yourselves. So you will see shortages in power supply. You will see the internet going down. You will see functions not really working, at least not reliably. And the city and the people will blame you for not taking action. That's what's going to happen. Is it working?
Hola, ¿me escuchan? Bueno, yo considero que el mayor problema, más que el tema, digamos, de pronto económico y demás, es justamente que no se va a poder mejorar esa calidad de vida del ciudadano, que es lo que necesitamos lograr con las ciudades inteligentes. Sin mejorar la calidad de vida, tenemos pérdida de tiempo, que considero que es lo que más cuesta y lo que más vale para nosotros como personas. Así que vamos a tardar mucho más tiempo en el tráfico, vamos a tener una pésima atención médica porque pues no vamos a, digamos, a tener, por ejemplo, interoperabilidad de historia clínica, vamos a hacer que nuestros ciudadanos sigan en la prehistoria. Entonces creo que ese es el mayor problema.
For me, at Foundation, you're going to lose trust. You're going to lose the trust of your employees. I'm the victim of when the Office of Personal Management had their breach. My personal information was compromised. You're going to lose the trust of your business community, which could impact revenue, and you're going to lose the trust of your citizens, your constituents. Maybe they move, or maybe they don't share information. So trust is foundational. To Silk Wu's point, you knock off a 911 call center, and these are very complex, very old technology, but emergency call centers, you lose those capabilities, you do lose lives. If you can't dispatch ambulance or fire services or police services, that's a failure of government, and you shouldn't be doing that. You have to look at your systems. You have to look at your resilience and where you stand today and stress test that to make sure you can be resilient under an attack so you can keep your services going. Don't wait for it to happen. That's the worst time to figure out you're not ready.
Okay, let's start with you, Kirk. Give us an example of a city that's doing it right, that's done something very specifically right that you've seen in your experience so far.
There's a lot of cities. Candidly, I think New York City is doing a lot with modern technology, especially for the emergency services system, to really improve their capabilities. The City of London is doing the same things there. There are smaller cities around the world that are adopting cloud technology as foundational. You have to use cloud as a tool to help increase that robustness, increase that resilience to work through these things. So there's no shortage of cities doing it. It's that paralysis of people trying to overthink, do we do this? I don't want to do it. And man, talk to your peers, talk to the industry, talk to your federal authorities. Understand you're not the first person going down this path. There's opportunities there for sure.
¿Tienes un ejemplo de una ciudad o una...?
Sí. Bueno, de hecho, si hablamos a nivel mundial, nosotros hemos traído las mejores prácticas que tiene Estonia, por ejemplo, pero internamente en Colombia lo está haciendo muy bien Medellín, y creo que no es un secreto para nadie porque Medellín está considerada una de las ciudades inteligentes a nivel mundial, y es justamente por las iniciativas que ha estado implementando durante los últimos años para mejorar sobre todo el tema de movilidad, energía y salud.
Is it on?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, so I wouldn't highlight any specific cities. I would rather say that I don't really believe in like the overallness of, you know, smartness of a city. I believe in smart functions. So especially the smaller the city, I think the better chances it has to enable right cyber protection and full cyber protection for its citizens. I believe in smart functions, and my advice for you to have like privacy and security assessment built in right from the beginning before you even start planning that specific smart function for your city. It's not like something that you want to change after you implemented all of those functions of a city. It's something that you want to do when you plan and design the first smart function or the second smart function of a city. And the other thing is that you need to be careful with is dependencies, because all of these functions are dependent on each other. So if you have like 2, 3, 4, 5 smart projects, they are linked. At our booth, T-Systems booth, you will find a big table of dominoes. You can decide, you know, which one of the functions you have in your smart city you want to fail, and then you will see the effect that the failure of the protection of that specific function will have on other functions. And I think that is the message that you need to understand.
So, can you hear me? That's great. So we've done some research on the cities, specifically in the United States, on the cybersecurity and privacy part. And I have to admit that there's no perfect secure city in the United States, probably not in the world. But there are relatively smaller and medium-sized cities who can actually move faster than large cities. Examples like San Leandro, California, and Coral Gables in Florida, and also San Mateo County in California. Those are the ones that came up with on our list that is doing a great job in implementing design in cybersecurity. But I have to admit that really there's nothing like a perfect 100% cybersecurity in cities. Frankly, it's very early in the development stage.
Okay, so we have very little time left. I want to get some questions for these guys, but I just wanted to talk very briefly about one aspect. We talked a lot about cybersecurity, but how do we ensure privacy? How do we ensure the privacy of a citizenry that's basically being watched by 64 cameras a day, right? For 3 terabytes of information. How do we ensure that privacy? How do we ensure that it's not used negatively? And Kirk, you've been in law enforcement, so you're kind of at the forefront of this, right?
Yeah, well, that, but I'd even say like Microsoft, when we think about AI for good, you know, and making sure that when you think about facial recognition, we think about all these cameras. Arthur showcased the little screw camera. Interesting use, by the way. I can only imagine who would use that. But as your population's out there in the public, yeah, what's watching and what are we doing with that data? Not just governments, but private sector entities. For us, it's a pretty sensitive area, and we want to be really thoughtful on cybersecurity, the privacy, being transparent, like facial recognition. It does great with white males. It falls short on everybody else. If you're using it in the law enforcement lens or government lens, making bad decisions, just solely relying on AI is the wrong approach. You have to have a human in there to assess it. To me, AI is a capability to limit what you're going to view for looking for a missing person. Maybe it's a lost child, or looking for a suspect. That, you know, if I have millions of photos, can I condense that down to 20 that are likely subjects because AI pushed that to me? That's where I think there's opportunities for it.
Bueno, nosotros en Colombia, ¿qué estamos haciendo, digamos, para evitar que se propaguen, ¿me escuchan? Todo lo que tiene que ver con incidentes de seguridad a través de la pérdida de información o acceso a la información privada de los ciudadanos? Es justamente, estamos teniendo un modelo de seguridad y privacidad de la información. Ese modelo de seguridad y privacidad tiene diferentes etapas en los cuales, sobre todo las entidades públicas, lo que hacen es que lo adaptan a cómo están ellas actualmente trabajando, y lo que hacen es, pues, a través de diferentes mapas que detectan los riesgos que se pueden presentar, empiezan a mitigarlos con diferentes acciones y diferente generación de capacidades, como les contaba en mi presentación. Generando esas capacidades para las diferentes entidades, mitigamos la pérdida de información y los ataques de ciberseguridad. Lo que estamos haciendo es fortaleciendo todo lo que tiene que ver con herramientas tecnológicas dentro de nuestros data centers y demás. También el uso de nube privada y de nube pública depende, pues, de la necesidad de las entidades para poder evitar, pues, el acceso a la información no deseada.
Thank you. If you're concerned about your privacy, you should wear sheep costumes. This is coming from a study. It seems that most of the AIs we're using for content analysis were trained on a specific set of data that would make it really difficult for any AI to recognize sheeps in landscapes. And just a fun fact. Anyway, coming back to the more serious side. Well, I believe in exactly what Kirk said. I think privacy is perceived in many different ways based on all these different norm systems that we have all around the globe. So whatever privacy is for someone in Europe might be different for someone in Asia. So I believe that we need to introduce, if you are now planning to introduce a camera system or a facial recognition system, I'm 100% sure that you need to use AI for classifying the content of that of whatever you're recording for privacy, for regulations, especially if you're around Europe, you need to be in compliance with GDPR. So I would suggest for you to use AI for analyzing the content and classifying the content, and that would probably deliver a better privacy ratio.
Very quickly, privacy is a policy problem as much as technology problem. You're not going to solve this problem by one company. You're not going to solve this problem by one government. You are going to solve this problem by collaborating between government and companies, and most important, citizens, all in the same room. That's all I can say right now.
Arthur, Kirk, Grace, muchas gracias for joining us. We're out of time, so hassle these people after the event, and they'll be able to answer all your questions. Thanks for watching, guys.
Right. Thank you.